everybody, my name is Veronica and this is my 10th FlossTube video. Today is Saturday, March 30th, 2019. It's been a busy March and I have a lot to show you today. Welcome if you're new to my channel. Thank you for joining me. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. And it's first thing in the morning because this is like the only time that I get to record videos without having my kids running around and wanting to be in the video. We just got back from vacation. We went to Litchfield, Kentucky, where we rented a house with my in-laws. So my kids and their cousins have spring break at the same time, and we tried to look for a place kind of in between where we live and where they live. We live in Northeast Ohio in the Cleveland area. They live in Southwest Tennessee. And we picked Kentucky. We did some things that were to do around there. We went to see Mammoth Cave, and we went to spend a day in Louisville. Went to this place called Malibu Jack's, and we went to what was the other thing? Also in the cave area, we went to a zoo. So the kids had a lot of fun with their cousins, and I'm happy to be back. I got some stitching done. I only worked on one project while I was there. I'll get into that in a bit. Yeah, so it's been like, what, 3 or 4 weeks almost since I last filmed a video. The last time I filmed, it was right around my birthday, and which was March 4th, and I turned 40, and so I started 4 things, and I'll show you the progress on those. I spent a week on each of those throughout March as well, so I could have more than just a day's worth of work on them. But before I get into my projects, I want to talk a bit about my purchases, because I went a little nuts. I'll show you in a bit. So first, I was waiting on a few things. One of my projects that I wanted to start, I was waiting on the fabric to arrive, so it did. And this is the rest of that, so I cut it off, the piece. So I'm going to talk about this when I get to the project, but I ordered from 123 Stitch, 32 count, Mercedes Lugana to work on, or to stitch on on the castle, because it was one of the starts that I wanted to do. And I'll talk about that in a bit, but it's kind of cloudy. I also ordered it for, sorry, I'll hold it up a bit longer. I also ordered it to start for the Raven Queen. However, it's a little bit bluer than I thought and probably too brightly colored. I wanted something more murky gray kind of. It's showing up a little bit darker blue in the video, probably because the lighting is right behind it. But so anyway, but it's great for the castle. I'm happy with it. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about this when I show you the castle. The next thing I ordered, also fabric. So my husband gave me a 123 Stitch gift certificate for my birthday. And so I ordered this 28 count Serene casual linen from 123 Stitch. It's kind of it's very light green. I don't know why it's kind of dark there, but it's not, it's pretty close, I guess. Maybe a bit darker in the video than it actually is. But I plan to use this for Renaissance Mermaid by Mirabilia. I want to try 28 count for Mirabilia, see how if that works a little bit better for the beads. And I got a fat half, so I could probably do 2 things with this. Next, on the way down to Kentucky, I made my husband stop at Keepsakes, which is a LNS in the Cincinnati area. While I was there, Stephanie from Just Keep Stitching was there. I didn't really say anything though, because I'm a big nerd, and I was like, oh, so super shy about it. But she was very helpful. Everyone was very helpful there. I ordered a couple of skeins of, I purchased a couple of skeins of Week Style Works for one of my projects, and I've already stitched with them, so I could show you them if you want, but it's not really that big of a deal. I also got one of the market releases. That I think they showed it on their channel, Sister Suffragette. It's kind of like, so next year is going to be the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote in the United States. They also have different years here that you could do. So I'll zoom in just a little bit. It says like 1920 to 2020. But they have different numbers here, and they list off the different years for like different countries. So they've got, let's see, where is it? It's on the back. Different. Oh, it doesn't say in here. I thought it did. Oh yeah, it does in the different buttons. Okay, USA 1920, UK 1918, Canada 1917, Netherlands 1919, France 1944, and Australia 1911. And then they have different vote buttons you can make with finishing instructions too, with your country's colors or flag. So it seems like fun. You know, I'm all about the first wave feminism. It's kind of cool. You know, I also get the song in my head from Mary Poppins whenever I see that Sister Suffragette thing. So, and the last purchase that I want to show you is, like, I went way overboard with this, but I had some Amazon gift cards, and I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for it, but it's something that's it's out of print, and I'll let you Google it on eBay and Amazon secondhand. So I purchased the Best of Teresa Winsler Fantasy Collection Volume 2. It went out of print after there were only a few printed. So unlike the Volume 1, which is pretty easy to find, this one, there's much fewer of them, much more expensive, unfortunately, because she stopped publishing her work, unfortunately, sadly, due to, I think, people stealing and reselling her stuff illegally. So it's kind of sad, but yeah, her designs are so gorgeous. I love the fantasy ones especially. I'll do a quick flip through now. I told myself that some of it was gift card money, so that's okay too. But if I stitch at least like 3 or 4 of these, then it will be worthwhile. So it has the celestial dragon. You know, some of these. Plus, if I was to purchase all of these, it would, now that they're out of print, it would be worthwhile. The Guardian. They're not, none of these are smaller. Well, there's some medium-sized ones in here. The Storyteller. And some of her designs you can purchase on patternsonline.com, but unfortunately all of the dragon ones are gone now. And almost all of these have dragons, so it's kind of cool. The Enchanter. You can still get one of the ones that I'm working on, the 12 Days of Christmas, I believe. And occasionally it changes, so keep checking if you really like her stuff. This one's huge. Fantasy Triptych. I can't really open it up all the way to show you the picture in there. There's a picture on the back. There's 4 small ones. It looks probably easier to show on the back too, that they have in here, called petites. I think they're around like 5 by 7-ish, maybe smaller than that. So, and then mermaid. And I think that's it. So again, I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it, but it was my birthday and my treat to myself. Not sure when I'm going to stitch those, probably in the coming years, but I definitely have to now to make it worthwhile. So now let's get into the projects that I worked on. Let's see, on March 1st, I started Stargazer, and in my last video I showed you where I got after one day on it. I spent then the first full week in March stitching on it, and so I'll show you where I'm at with it. I have to open things up. I didn't prepare, and I didn't iron, so my apologies in advance. So let's see. So I'm stitching this one on 32 count Mystic Picture This Plus. And I'll show you now where I was at last time in my last video, where I just kind of showed you after one day. I don't have anything to put behind it, so I'm going to try this piece of paper and see if that works. Here's where I am today. I'm doing the skin 2/2 because there's not much skin, and I think it looks fine. Plus, this fabric is dark, and so it's kind of hard for me to see the holes, and I keep making mistakes. So I just wanted to not have to have another reason to make more mistakes. This is like the entirety of the back stitching is what's on her face and hands here, and the whole project, I believe. So I did all of that too, because I really just wanted to see her face. So next I'll probably work on her hair. So that's 1 week of stitching. By the way, if you follow me on Instagram, vdancer0304, it's also in the notes below. You'll have seen all of these pictures, so nothing will be new. I'll just talk a little bit about them in my video, though. The second thing that I started was European Bistro by Dimensions. Dimensions Gold Collection. Obviously a kit. And so here's what that... I didn't show you what Stargazer will look like when it's done, but you guys have all seen Stargazer, right? So this is European Bistro. And I'll show you where I am. So I purchased this this envelope bag from Get Around Totten Bags. This is another purchase. Sorry, I forgot to mention this one. My other bags are not big enough for this ginormous thing, so I purchased one of the large bags and this cute little butterfly print. So anyway, so after, and this one probably really needs to be ironed, but this is where I'm at after. Oh, here, I'll show you where I'm at. Where I was at after one day of work back in early March. And this is after an additional week. So this is just, I'm working on the diagonal, as you can tell. Kind of just the upper left corner barely, and you can kind of see some shutters and a sign coming in there. And the cracked, what do you call it? The walls, I don't know. To look like, you know, old Italy or something like that, or France. And I'm doing the back stitching as I go. I'll probably save French knots for the end. Since this piece of fabric that they give isn't really big enough for my scroll frame. It's 16 count Ada that came with the package. It's kind of in this like light blue color. So I'm using a Q-snap on it, and I don't want to put the Q-snap over French knots. I'm just afraid that that's going to damage them or make them look less pretty. So, but I haven't come to any French knots yet. They come later when you get to flowers. And so that's the second project. The third thing that I started in early March was, oh, I see something fell on the floor. Oops, one more purchase from Keepsakes. This little needle minder. My 6-year-old went in the store with me, picked it out, wanted to buy it, even though he hasn't been stitching for a while. But I could always use more needle minders, so I figured I'll get something he likes too. And that way, if he decides to pick up stitching again, he can use it, he can have it. But he completely forgot about it. Sorry. Back to, whoops. So the third thing I started was Steampunk Dragonfly by Sam Sarah. I purchased this last year in October at the North Coast Tour to Stitch at Cross My Heart in Columbus, Ohio. And they had a trunk show out for Sam Sarah. They had a bunch of things. I really wanted the Steampunk Sea Bass, but they didn't have it. But so I got this one, and I put the other one on my wish list. I'll probably work on it at some point. Here's a picture of where I was the last time, so it was only after one day of work. And here's where I am with it now. So I got pretty far along. I just need to finish out the wings, and then there's some things at the end of the tail here, and then I'll be done with it. This is one of the ones this is the only thing I worked on my trip. So I probably spent a little bit more time on it than I would have if I was working last week. But it, and this is the thing I used Weeks Dye Works on, so I purchased a couple that I like the way it looks a little bit better than the DMC, although I did use a few DMC on here. The dark gray, the white, and the light gray. The light gray's in here. The dark gray's like in here and lining the wings. And so I kind of mixed and matched, but I'm liking the way it's turning out. It's kind of neat. It comes with some like buttons you sew on it. I'm using floss away bags for this. Normally I like to use the bobbins, but so here's the buttons it comes with. Just about 5 of them, I think, little that you sew on, and they sewed them on pretty randomly. Like they're not charted on here, so I'll probably just do the same. And anyway, this was fun working on. I worked on it yesterday too for Ms. Oh So Crafty's birthday stitch along. Yesterday was March 29th, and it was something that has an S in it or starts with an S, or something with sparklies. And Steampunk and Sam Sarah have lots of S's in them. Of course, Sea Serpent has one more, but I didn't have that one, so I worked on it. And then the last thing that I started in March was, and I don't have a before video for this because I didn't start it until March 10th because I was waiting for that fabric. The Mercedes Lugana from 123 Stitch. So I didn't make a video since starting this one, but this is the Teresa Winslow Fantasy Collection Volume 1, which I had since I purchased before it went out of print, but now it's still more expensive. You can get it for around $40-45 on Amazon or eBay. It's not crazy, right? But I started Castle, which is, I think, a beautiful design of a dragon looking at a castle and in the sea, kind of, on an island. And so this is 1 week of work on it. No, hold on just a sec, sorry. Started in the center and worked my way out to the right side. And there's something I'm going to share with you about this too. So yeah, again, no before picture. So here's where I am after 1 week of work. So one thing about this is I measured it for, assuming it was 32 count, which is what I ordered and what's on the sticker, and I started stitching it and realized, hey, my needle just doesn't quite fit through these holes, so I got myself a smaller needle. And then after I'd stitched a bunch, I measured it and counted for 1 inch 19 stitches, because I'm doing over 2, right? And that's a lot for 32 count. For 32 count, it should be more like 16, I think. And I figured, well, maybe it's, since it's hand dyed, it shrinks a little bit in the dyeing process, right? But still 19, I think it was a 36 count that they sold me because my needles wouldn't go through. And some other hand dyed fabrics like the Stargazer that I have, also a picture of this plus hand dyed, and it's much darker. So if anything, I would think it would shrink more. My needle fits through just fine, and the stitches are a little bit bigger. So I got to the edge here. I measured for 3 inches borders. This is the edge of the pattern, and there's about 4 inches here. So I think they gave me, on accident, 36 count, which means that I can't use the other half of this for a Mirabilia, but that's okay because I'm loving the way that it's looking now, even though it's 36 count. So it's going to be a much smaller picture in the end, but that's fine. On the Teresa Winslow Design Works website, there is a conversion for Kreinik listed, and I am doing that. It's probably hard to tell in the picture, but where you mix blending filament in on the dragon, and I'm only doing it on the dragon. There's some of the symbols are in the castle too. I'm not doing those. I might add more where they're not listed in the dragon too. So that's all I have to show you now as far as my projects go. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my plans, and then that'll be it. So like I said before, I'm doing the Miss Oso Crafty's Ms. Oso Crafty's birthday sale. Her birthday is April the 4th, and leading up until that day, she's got a bunch of different themes you can do. So today's March 30th. Jewel tones, any gem colors. I'm going to be stitching on the castle for that because there's a bunch of. I think it's pretty. This one's pretty laid back, but I'm thinking anything that's like a bright color that could be a gem. There's lots of greens in that and purples in that, so that's like emerald and amethyst, and I guess anything that's brightly colored could be jewel tone, right? And if you follow me on Instagram, I'll post what I'm planning to do for that. So what I'm doing for that, and my next video I'll cover it too. So because that might change, but I've got plans for each of the other themes, and I'll link her video below where she talks about the different things that she's got up until April 4th. So, and I'm so far behind on FlossTube right now because I didn't watch anything last week on my trip. Normally I'll like stitch while there's a video in the background, or get ready in the morning while there's a video in the background. I didn't have to get ready in the morning at all, really, except for the craziness that was in a shared house with 8 other people. And then while I was stitching, I was being social, so I was talking to people and stuff like that. So I didn't get any watching in. That's okay, I think. I'll just probably skip ahead on most of the videos. And that's all I have for now. So thank you for watching with me. Thank you for liking and subscribing if you do. I hope you do. And I'll see you next time. Next time, I'm not sure what it's going to be. April, oh yeah, back into plans. Sorry, I'm all over the place today because I didn't prepare too well. I'm probably going to stitch on just, like I have one of those wheel thingies. I'm probably just going to randomize my whips. For Mania, I'm going to do Monogamous Mania and work on Stargazer only. So April will be all over the place, except for the Ms. Oh So Crafty birthday sale for the first couple of days in April. But yeah, so thank you for joining me. Remember to think critically about everything, and I'll see you next time, probably around the end of April or so. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.